Today, I tell you about Candlelight protests, also known as Candlelight Revolution, that occurred throughout South Korea from October 2016 to March 2017. In 2016, Korean people were starting to lose their patience with incompetent President Park Geun-hye, as well as government's misrule and corruption. When the tragic Sewol ferry incident happened in 2014, which took away hundreds of young students and people's lives in the sea, the president and government's responses were so ineffective and irresponsible. And that triggered people's anger. As one of the domestic press obtained a tablet PC containing ugly secrets, the disgraceful scandal about President Park's undisclosed links to a mysterious woman become widely known to the whole world. The woman's name is Choi Soon-sil, and she has been an old friend of President Park for a long time. And it turned out she was deeply involved in the government affairs. She was just one of ordinary civilians who had no official government position. However, it was revealed that she could come to the president's Blue House without security check and have access to confidential information just for the president. She had even revised the president's speeches. And she was also found to have been giving secret counsels to President Park. In addition, she illegally raised the funds from large business conglomerates in order to establish some foundations and substantially own them. She was given many illegal preferential treatments by abusing the power. Korean people were frustrated at the fact that the state affairs were controlled by an ordinary woman who just had close ties with President Park. People could not believe their president was not a head of state, but just a puppet. And people's anger over the corrupt government finally exploded. From October 2016, thousands of people started to go out to the streets and join the protests against President Park in order to restore the rule of law and punish the wrongdoers. The protests and protesters were not led by specific political groups and did not resort to violence. People just held candlelights in their hands and voluntarily joined the protests, calling for the resignation of President Park. Ordinary people and young students did go out to the streets with candlelights in their hands. They just wanted to put their country back to its place. People brought their families and friends to the candlelight rallies, and some mothers brought their children and babies. The candlelight protests were held in a very peaceful manner. From October 2016 to March 2017, the candlelight protests were held 23 times in South Korea. The number of people attending the candlelight protests is estimated more than 60 million. This number accounts for over 30% of the whole population in South Korea. The surprising thing is that there were not any clashes between protesters and police, as well as casualties, while those protests were held more than 20 times. Korean people showed a great civic consciousness, and all the world admired and paid tribute to this peaceful candlelight revolution. Thanks to the candlelights and people's desire to live in dignity, the National Assembly approved the impeachment of President Park. And she was finally impeached on March 10, 2017, by the ruling of the Constitutional Court. After 60 days, a new president of South Korea was elected through a referendum. The corrupt and incompetent administration was brought to justice by the Candlelight Revolution and ordinary people. Korea's Candlelight Revolution will be remembered as one of the greatest and most peaceful democratic movements in history. And it was a good example that showed Korean people's desire for true democracy and great civic consciousness